So hello and welcome back. After the last video, in fact, all I've done is have lunch. The sun is shining, it's glorious. This view never gets old. But now it's time to get on and try and finish up this master bedroom. So I'm going to plaster this wall here with the same plaster as the rest of the room. I bought a bag of that, so that's pretty much the first thing I'm going to do. Then we need to do the joints on the plasterboard, on the ceiling here and in the shower and in the loo. Then we'll do little finishing bits around this door frame. Need to just put like some nice bits of wood there to make that look more finished than it does. And then mask up the beams and paint the room, because that's really what I want to have done while I'm here, is the room to be painted. Not worried about the loo and the shower because they're obviously going to be, well, obviously, as I've said before, we're going to, or I'm going to do the micro cement render in there again. So it is really a case of getting this room painted, and then once the room is painted, it means we can use the room because I can always just whip off the windows and finish them and paint the door, and obviously seal the loo in the bathroom. But I want to get everything done so that I can paint. And once I've painted, then I should probably clean and polish the floor. And once I've done that, we can start putting furniture in. I did bring a bed because I found a bed. So that would be brilliant. It's quite unlikely that we'll get all of that done, but who knows? The wood burner took much less time than I had planned on this weekend, so with a bit of luck we might get a little bit further. It's still burning away there. It's actually getting quite toasty in here now. So that was a great bit of success. So the first thing I'm going to do is go and get all of my tools together, and I'm going to mix up a bucket of plaster. And there you go, some more pretty rustic plastering, but unfortunately I didn't quite make enough, not much missing, so I'm just going to get on, do that bit. I'm going to do the ends as well here. They're going to be white, and then on the inside it'll all be grey. I think that'll probably look better. So just mix up another little bit, not much, and get that done. Okay, well I've just quickly gone through and squirted foam everywhere where the gap would have been too big just to use plaster on its own. There's a little bit there, I should go and squirt a little bit in that gap there. And then I'm going to wait for that to settle a little bit, and I might start, no, I'm not going to start looking at the doors yet, I don't think. I've got these mouldings, but you'll see that then, with a bit of luck, in a couple of days' time. Otherwise, when I'm back down, which should be Halloween. So again, not really worth videoing. I've just put the mesh down the grids now, and now I'm going to set up the tripod. I'm going to go and mix up my first bucket of joint plaster, and I'm going to do the left to right joints and the screws. And then tomorrow we'll do the edges. Just before I mix up, look what I found at the DIY store. This is a knife that is as wide as the gaps there, so that's perfect. And on the other end, it has a screwdriver. So if a screw is sticking out too far, you don't have to go looking. You can just give it a twiddle. I thought that was absolutely worth the 8 or 9 odd euros that I paid for it. Okay, so we've got the joints. I've done 3/4 of that wall up there as well because I had some left over. I'm going to have to go over the joints again because I'm not very good at doing joints. Oh look, everyone's always grumbling about me playing with my hair, but this time I do have a reason. It's also almost impossible to look at yourself on a camera and not kind of do something to your face or your head, especially if you look like I do, which is most of the time like I've just gotten out of bed. Anyway, that's going to be it for today. The screws covered, joints are done for the first time. Tomorrow, cut off all of the rest of the mousse first thing in the morning, get going, filling up all of the gaps around the ceiling so that can then dry while perhaps we play with the door or something. I'm not quite sure. We'll see. In fact, it'll probably take long enough that we can start on one edge and go around the room and then back to the other. But now it is time for me to go and have a shower, check on the stove if it's still burning. We can do that together actually before I log off for tonight. Yeah, look at that, it's been burning all afternoon. Bit of soot there on the window now. It's used a few of the pellets, but nothing too bad. 21 degrees, I set it to 21 degrees. This is nice and cool here, so that's brilliant. In fact, it is nice and warm in the whole part of the house that we use. So that's it for today. Thanks a lot. I'll see you in the morning. Good morning and welcome back. The sun is shining, you can see it's beautiful. There are a few clouds stuck in the valley over there, but another spectacular day coming up. And for us, it's going to be finishing up the ceiling. So got a good start yesterday, but we need to do, or I need to do all of the edges. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut out the excess foam, and then I'm going to mix up a bucket and just get going. And the faster we get it done, the faster we'll be painting. The plastered wall has dried out well, but not yet where the plasterboard joints were, where it's obviously a little bit thicker. So that'll probably take until I finished everything else. But it looks pretty good. Everything will have to be gone over once and perhaps quickly sanded at the end. It would be nice not to, but not sure if we'll get away with it. So first things first, I'm going to go and get a knife and cut off the excess building foam. And there we go, everything's cut off. I've just eased off the middle of these because they sagged a little bit down, so they were going to be higher. I'm going to have to go over them all again. As you can see, they're not perfectly flat, but definitely still going in the right direction. And it's now time to mix up our first bucket of muck and get it spread out on the ceiling. Okay, well that's the first band done. So same again in the middle, which should be easier because there's less wall, and then the bit over here. But my muck's getting a little bit hard, and I made quite a lot of it, unfortunately. So I'm now going to use it, as it's hard, to fill in the big holes, and then I'm going to take 5 minutes to catch my breath, and then I should get on doing this middle one. Okay, so first bucket is done. These were the big gaps here. That's okay, so is that. God, my shoulder is killing me. Working above your head, especially when it gets sort of thick and gooey, is not so easy. 5-minute break, mix up another bucket. Okay, so what I've actually decided to do, because my shoulder is telling me to take a break, but I don't want to waste any time, is I'm going to put these 5 little sockets into their various holes. So there's one by the door, there's one there, here, there, and there. Because it's going to be much easier to do that before painting rather than scratching or dirtying up the wall afterwards. So I'll just get on and do that now quickly. So there we go. They're in. One down there too. Unfortunately, I pulled a little bit hard on the cables on this one and broke out some of the plaster. So I'm going to have to mix a tiny bit and backfill that, which is a pain, but has to be done. And then it'll be back on the ceiling, which is slowly drying and looking pretty good actually. So the middle bit, now that I've done most of that backfill at the end, which is probably what would be the most time consuming, I don't think we'll be on this for too much longer. It'll be a case of letting it dry and maybe do something with the doors and windows while it's drying. Okay, well, that's another bucket. And that is, except for this one band here, the second row. And we've done a lot of this as well. So now it's definitely time for a quick break. Oh, shoulder. But we're definitely getting there. So it does look like we might well be on schedule tomorrow for paint, which would be perfect. Okay, well, that's it. The ceiling is done. Everything is replastered. All the edges are done. So now it's time to move on to some serious stuff. I'm going to mix up that tiny bit to fix that plug that I mullered earlier on. But that shouldn't take more than a minute or two. And then it's going to be time to start emptying everything out of here and masking up, slowly but surely, masking up the beams, covering the floor, cleaning the floor first, obviously. Yeah, so that's the plan now. Okay, look at this. That's everything we swept up. So I'm going to get that out. And the next thing I'm going to do is tape up and mask up the beams, because there'll probably be stuff falling off the ground from there. And once that's done, hoover, mop, and mask up the floor. And then probably the windows and the back door as well. And we can get painting first thing in the morning. Okay, so as the masking tape wasn't sticking to anything, I just got a sponge, and you just look at wiping them down. What a huge difference that makes. And just how dusty it is or was in here. So I'm just going to do that down both sides of both beams, and then hopefully the masking will stick and we can use this plastic sheeting. So yeah, you look on this side, almost completely white. On this side, most definitely wood coloured. And that is how nearly one roll of tape does one beam. But the other side's completely done, just these last little bits. That one over there, and the beams are masked, ready for spraying. So, all done, both sides. Next up is probably going to be the floor. I've got that stuff there to roll out on the floor. But the first thing I'm going to do is sweep again, hoover and mop. Okay. It's amazing how I've forgotten how vibrant the red this is with all the dust. So it's not super massively clean, but it's the first mop. I should probably be doing this again tomorrow. Everything, that window is now also covered in plastic. There's still the door, but I'll do that probably last. But we're pretty much ready to go for paint, which is amazing. Well, the floor, obviously, I need to roll out on the floor. So that'll be the first thing I do tomorrow morning, once this is dry, is cover the floor, cover this cupboard with plastic then, once that's done. And then it'll be getting the paint gun out and painting everything. Okay, well, a huge amount all done. This room is really coming together. You can hear it echoing again because it's empty. And hopefully very soon it won't be empty anymore. But that's going to be it for today's video. The next video will then be painting, cleaning, getting set up, and probably doing the doors and windows. So yeah, it was a good day and a bit's work. I'm very happy with that. It's now just going to be waiting for that to dry, waiting for the floor to dry, making sure that this, you can still see a couple of darker patches there where it hasn't completely dried. So by tomorrow morning, hopefully all of that will be perfectly dry. We can really get cracking. And once all of this is done, then we'll deal with the shower. That's going to be for a later date. But basically, yeah, really happy with all of this now. I think it looks fabulous, and I can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all done with a fresh, clean, white coat of paint. So, thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, thank you for supporting. The last comments on the wood burner, some of them were questionable, but most of them were excellent. So everyone in the village has a horizontal exit, and this has been running now more or less since I started it, so for a day and a half, and it's not hot, it just doesn't get hot. It has a built-in pressure. If there's any back pressure on the pipe, it'll stop straight away. If there's any carbon monoxide, it stops. But very good suggestion now that that's in here is to put in a second carbon monoxide alarm. There is a smoke alarm in here, as there are pretty much everywhere, which is very useful and very important. So yeah, that makes sense. But so far this has been absolutely brilliant. It's nice and toasty inside the house. It's used not very many pellets, and for those of you who are wondering, it's made in Italy. It's the system of heating of choice of everyone here, and back in Austria we have underfloor heating because it's that much colder in winter. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you all very much for watching. Take care. I'll see you next time. Bye bye for now.